Welcome, everybody, to the latest live edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. The regular season is over, and the Guardian season continues. Zach, are you ready for some playoff baseball?
I've finally gotten the stench of champagne off of all my clothes. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, you should keep those clothes and potentially wear them again because hopefully there'll be more champagne celebrations to come in the future. We'll talk about it all on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. All right, there you go. So the regular season is over. Folks, we want to give you a programming note that we will be doing live episodes of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show a few hours after every game during the first round. Now, as the rounds go on, if the Guardians get to the next round, when we do the show may change, but with the games being at 1 o'clock this week, at least Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday it's scheduled for 1, but if, first of all, we don't know if they'll need to play Thursday. Even if they do, if some of the other games, if some of the other series don't go to Thursday, the times could change. But at least for the next 2 days, tomorrow and Wednesday, games 1 and 2, the games are at 1:08, and we will join you live. We'll say at 7 o'clock, but just be alert. That'll be the plan to go at 7 o'clock. I'll be on live immediately following the game with instant reaction on my podcast, and then Zach will join me a couple hours later after he does all his post game. Talks with the players, the coaches, and all that stuff. And so it'll be a good double dip. Again, immediately following every playoff game, check out my podcast through Bet Rivers. And then a few hours after that, Zach will join me for an Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show. So we've got you covered in the postseason as the Guardians hopefully are about to go on a long run. We shall see. But first, before we move ahead, Zach, let's go back really just to yesterday, because we were on yesterday morning and we knew what was at stake. And in the end, both teams did not win because the Tigers lost to the Red Sox. And for a while, both teams were losing, obviously, yesterday. Neither team was playing like they had to have it. Certainly, the Tigers, once they lost, all the pressure was off. The Guardians had locked up the division. But then just to add to it, they get a nice walk-off homer by Rocchio. So exciting ending to a game that ultimately didn't matter. But you know what? 88 wins after this season is really hard to believe.
Yeah, it's cool when you think about the sequence of events, right? Because you knew they were in the playoffs, and it seemed like nobody wanted to win their game Sunday, right? The Tigers and Red Sox were throwing out lineups and pitchers of guys who, you wouldn't do if you were desperate to win.
Yeah.
You wouldn't throw those guys out there. And then the Guardians started Logan Allen, and their lineup doesn't look too different if they're resting guys or not, honestly. Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan were in there, so that's good. But, they learned during the game that the Tigers lost so that they clinched the division. And so you could see guys celebrating in the dugout and high-fiving and whatnot. But and they bring in Zach Kent, who's the last pitcher on the roster. It seemed like he was going to just go until the game ended. And of course it goes extra innings. But it's just funny because you reach a point where there's no point to be out there.
Right.
You've clinched the division. There's nothing to gain. And Jose Ramirez is still batting, and I'm sitting there in the press box like, all right, like, just be careful. And then he's stealing a base, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then I think he got it looked like the helmet got him in the face.
Yeah.
And then maybe the tag too, and the trainers have to come out, and you're like, of all things. But it's also just funny because I think it's a microcosm of their season that they didn't quit. They're relentless. And the way that ended, Stephen Vogt comes out and whispers something in Brian Rocchio's ear. And I went and asked Vogt after the game, and he said, all he told him was keep it going, have fun, and get a barrel, aka hit it hard.
Yeah.
But in doing that, he wanted the Rangers to think he was telling them, hey, bunt, so that they'd bring the infield in and he would slap a single over their heads. Lo and behold, he slaps one off the foul pole instead. So just a dramatic ending, kind of a perfect cap to just the last few weeks. And, this team seems like they're in a really good place. And I know that doesn't usually matter going into October, but it's just interesting going into the series because I think the Tigers are like 3-13 in their last 16 games.
Yep.
And they're going to be treating this like, hey, we get to turn the page and rewrite the
Right.
script here. And if you're the Guardians, it's all good vibes. They've gotten to party 2 straight days. They capped their season with a walk-off 3-run homer in extra innings. They came back and won the division. We'll see if any of that matters, if momentum is a real thing.
You know, it's funny. Part of this whole thing is now obviously games would have been played differently if this were the case, but until a few years ago, if you tied, you had a game 163. We would have had 3. Well, I don't know if for the divisions, I can't remember if they did it that way. I don't think so, but the Blue Jays and Yankees ended up tied for the American League East. The Mets and Reds ended up tied for the final wild card, and the Tigers and Astros ended up tied for the final wild card in the American League. Well, those two games, now again, the Tigers would have played yesterday differently, obviously.
But that's the thing is I feel like there would have been a lot more on the line yesterday, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Teams would have cared about winning the division.
You're right. And the Tigers would – I was going to say the Tigers would have had to use Skubal, but the Guardians also might – well, but the Guardians – no, you know what? The Guardians would have had to use Gavin Williams also because you could have potentially you would have had to have the Tigers play the Guardians to see who wins the division, and then the loser would play the Astros to see who wins the wild card potentially. Unfortunately,
you could have had like 3-team ties and needed a round robin of sorts, and would have been nuts. That's how in 2019 they entered the final week. Right there with like the A's and the Rays and the wild card. And there were all these wacky scenarios of like a 3-team round robin if they tied for the 2 wild card spots. And
how about the Mets not making the playoffs?
I mean, it's pathetic.
Honestly. As bad as the Tigers collapse was, at least they made it in the end. The Mets not making playoffs. And it's not like kudos to Francona, but the Reds were just mediocre the entire season, basically.
Yeah.
They both lost yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to the Guardians here. The fact that kudos to everybody. I was crapping all over this team for much of the season, and deservedly so at the time. Yeah. But they deserve a lot of credit. The players, as you said earlier, never quit. They played hard. They've done just enough offensively down the stretch, and the pitching's been phenomenal. Defense, we've talked about it. Stephen Vogt did a tremendous job.
Would you vote for him for manager of the year?
100%. To me,
which is insane. I mean, I'm guessing that Pat Murphy of the Brewers wins for the 2nd straight year, and Vogt could very well win for the 2nd straight year in the American League. Which the list of back-to-back winners is tiny, and which makes sense because we usually just pick a team that it exceeds expectations and say, hey, that manager did a great job.
Yeah,
they were better than we thought, and it's hard to do that 2 straight years because your expectations trend upward if you win manager of the year the first time. But it's obviously been a very different path to his candidacy this year. And it's,
I think you can make a good case for Dan Wilson too.
Sure. I think that team's loaded, but I don't think what we were yelling about in the middle of the summer was off base then or is off base now.
100%.
The lineup is still the lineup.
Yeah.
They've just squeezed more out of the talent that they have, and they found a formula that works. Like the pitching's been fantastic. So you just win 3-2. I mean, they don't blow teams out. This never looks easy.
No.
They win by 1 run or 2 runs every single night.
Well, you notice, Zach, there were no apologies to the front office. Not that it's anybody's owed an apology. We give opinions. That's the job. But the players deserve credit. The coaching staff deserves credit. I'm not giving credit to the front office.
I give credit to the front office for what we've given credit to them forever. And that's the pitching side of things. Establishing this culture that is just able to, pairing the scouting and the developing and the coaching all together and making sure you have this cohesive program that can get the most out of pitchers. And, Carl Willis is the figurehead at the top, and that guy's as good as it gets as a pitching coach. I give them credit for that, for the drafting, for the developing, for the trading. The fact that It's insane to think how good the pitching has been, and that's the reason they're here.
Oh, yeah.
And they're missing two of the key pieces coming into the season. I mean, they're missing Clase and Luis Ortiz. I was so excited to see what he was going to look like by this point in the schedule. Like, you saw flashes of it early on. He had a couple starts where he went 6 innings and struck out 10 and didn't give up a run. And you're thinking, man, he's got good stuff, right? We may never see it again.
Nope.
and it's just incredible that they've, I had a vote for pitcher of the month, hitter of the month, rookie of the month, reliever of the month yesterday. And I was looking at the breakdown, the stats of all the starting pitchers for September. And I'm looking, it's like the usual suspects, like Max Fried, great month. Kevin Gausman, great month. And I'm looking, I'm like, who is this guy who made 5 starts and his ERA was 155? It's got to be like Scooble.
Yeah.
I know Gavin Williams had a good month.
Yeah.
How about Joey Cantillo? Like, wow.
It's unbelievable.
And you think about, so we have to give them credit. This is what they do. But you're right. Like, all those things we were yelling about, and especially given where they were last season, like those still hold true. Like, if they bow out in the playoffs, it's probably going to be because the lineup wasn't good enough.
That's right.
And we all saw that coming.
Yeah. By the way, I'll throw this little nugget out there. I haven't even told you this off the air, but I spoke to someone yesterday who knows Dolan personally, and he not that he had like inside information, but just he knows him a little bit, and he said that he anticipates Blitzer taking over the team fully in the next 2 years. Now, he doesn't know this for sure. This is just somebody that knows him kind of reading tea leaves for me.
Yeah, I'm mid reporting on some of this, so I don't want to scoop myself.
Okay.
There are decisions that will have to be made.
Right.
And that time frame is correct.
Coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. That's another story for another day.
The lockout is going to throw everything into disarray.
That's true.
I could sit here and tell you, like, hopefully, like they'll have a chance this winter to correct the mistakes from last winter, to learn from what happened, to say, okay, great, we got back to the playoffs. Now, how did we ever get to a point where we were 40-48 and we're losing 10 in a row? And then, how did we get to a point where we needed a historic comeback to make the playoffs? Well, what can we do differently this winter? But the looming work stoppage is going to cloud every decision by about 2/3 of the league this winter. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Before we look ahead to the matchups, let's first talk about FanDuel here, Zach. Can you do that for us, please?
Yeah, we're in the sweet spot of the sports calendar. The NFL season is here. We've got baseball playoffs starting tomorrow, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for all of it with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, player props, build a same-game parlay. Someone's calling bull right now because they want to place a bet. Jump in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup or the MLB playoffs. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays or even to your 108 first pitches during the week. Good luck at work trying to watch these games without your boss noticing. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS to place your first $5 bet.
Thank you, Zach. Okay, so game 1 is tomorrow at 108, as you just mentioned.
Why 08?
I don't know. That's probably a sponsorship thing, maybe. I don't know.
It's very specific.
I think the Blue Jays used to start games at 7-Eleven because of a 7-Eleven sponsorship.
The White Sox, too.
That was the White Sox? Maybe it was the White Sox all along, and I was thinking the Blue Jays. But I don't know what's with the 08. That is weird. I guess you start the broadcast so they could, at 1 o'clock. And they probably don't even start at 108. The game probably started like 115, that's my guess. But anyway, it is what it is. We're used to all this. Tarek Skubal is pitching game one, obviously, for Detroit. I mean, I assume it's Gavin Williams. Has Stephen Vogt officially said it's Gavin Williams yet? Or
officially, no, but it's Gavin Williams.
Yeah, right. So we know it's going to be Skubal, Gavin Williams in game one. Is there any chance it's not Flaherty Bybee in game two?
I guess I would think that that's it. I guess with the Tigers, there's always the potential for what they call pitching chaos, but
right, yeah.
Be hard to do that back-to-back days, right? So I would think Flaherty game two, and all bets are off for game three.
Yeah.
Who would you go with?
So it's obviously, to me, it's two guys. It's either Ciccone or I'm having a brain freeze. Joey Cantillo. I couldn't think of his name for a second. Well, I mean, Cantillo pitched Saturday, so could he pitch? Wait, it would be Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, he could pitch Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It would be on 4 days rest. I'm torn between the two. I really like where Cantillo is right now, but I'm guessing they would go with Ciccone.
So Cantillo has been truly awesome.
Yeah.
One of the best pitchers in baseball for the last month since he came back from AAA. And the one thing that they wanted him to work on was attacking the strike zone. And I think in 29 plus innings in September, he had 6 walks.
Fantastic.
So there's everything with him has been great. I think Ciccone's been really good too. Like he got roughed up Friday night against the Rangers, but in his 3 starts before that, he went 20 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs on 6 hits.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can go wrong. Both those guys pitch well against Detroit when they've matched up in recent weeks. The only thing that I would lean Cantillo ordinarily. I would lean Ciccone here because if you look at the Tigers stats, they're about league average against righties. They're really good against lefties.
Yeah.
And they change their lineup a lot. Like they sit Kerry Carpenter. They put in that Jahmai Jones, who saw they hit 3 home runs off Parker Messick last week.
Yeah.
So Cantillo pitched really well against them in Detroit a couple of weeks ago. So maybe he'd fare better. But that's the only thing that would give me pause is if that's a legit concern. And because Cantillo has experience pitching out of the pen this season, Ciccone's done it in the past, but this season, maybe you just go Ciccone to start, quick hook if you need it, and then go Cantillo next. Because then also you screw up the Tigers lineup. They're going to have to start pitch hitting all their guys. Or honestly, maybe you flip-flop that. I don't know. Maybe you'd rather go Cantillo first. I just think I'm trying to think about, would you rather have who do you want if your starting pitcher goes 1 time through the order or 2 times through the order? Who do you want for the rest of the game? Your bullpen is more right-handed heavy, so would you want the right-handed hitters in there? And if you want the right-handed hitters in there, then you got to start Ciccone so that then they pinch hit, if that makes sense. You almost have to draw it up backwards.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And also, I mean, I don't know how much you can do this, but you're thinking ahead to the next series and who's going to start game one. I know you just got to series, but
then they have 6 options, right?
That's true.
I don't know that I want Logan Allen starting a playoff game.
Right. Yeah, if Cantillo doesn't pitch in this, if Cantillo doesn't pitch in this series, then he pitches game one because Gavin Williams would be on short rest to pitch game one. You don't want to do that. That's not necessary. But okay. So the Tigers are better against lefties, right? So they're better against lefties. Your bullpen's righties. So
you have Sabrowski. Tim Herron has pitched better, but I just at some point you want them to have to flip that. Remember last season in the playoffs when Will Brennan started and didn't even get in at bat.
Right.
Remember they pinch hit for him in the 2nd or 3rd inning.
Yeah.
They were going with the Manzardo Fry platoon, and it was Manzardo would start, but the first time there's a lefty on the mound, they'd pinch hit. Right. The Tigers are going to do the same thing, so you just have to figure out which lineup do you want them to start with? Because then there's going to be like 3 spots in the order they pinch hit for when you bring
Right.
in the other option. And then you just want to make sure.
Right.
Like, I almost wonder if it'd be better to go lefties and then bring in a righty and then come back with like Sabrowski and Heron late. This is
Right.
also assuming everything goes according to plan, which it
Right.
never does.
Or does it make sense to start Ciccone, then go to Cantillo to force the pinch hitters, and then go back to the righties at the end of the game, and now they've got their weaker hitters against righties where they're already weak.
You just want to make sure you're not in a situation where it's like you don't really want like Hunter Gaddis against Kerry Carpenter with the game on the line, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
if you can prevent that, you'd rather like if you can get Sabrowski against him, that's great. But if it's Sabrowski against Kerry Carpenter, a lot of times they would pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter. But if they've already used that guy because he was in the starting lineup,
yeah.
So I'm sure they're having these conversations. I'm sure a lot of this also depends on, how do they get through game 1 and game 2, right? Like how deep do Williams and Bybee get into these games?
Right.
And
how quick is the hook going to be? Is he going to let him work through things? I don't know. Obviously Gavin Williams has pitched great the second half. Tanner Bybee's pitched great here in September. Although by the time he pitches, it'll be October 1st. But there's a lot on the plate of the manager in these situations. Obviously, the front office is involved in some of this decision making, and sometimes it drives you crazy that they pull these starters out so early. Gavin Williams has given, really all these guys, but especially Gavin Williams, has given you reason to trust him. And the Tigers, let's face it. I know Kerry Carpenter killed us last year, and the Tigers lineup is better this year than last year, but there's not that many guys in the Tigers lineup that scare you.
No. These teams also know each other so well. There are no secrets. There's AJ Hinch and Stephen Vogt are very friendly, have a lot of respect for each other. And they've had some wars the last 2 years. These teams played 18 times last season.
Yeah.
They're going to wind up playing 15 or 16 more this year, including 8 or 9 times in a span of 3 weeks. So, yeah, it's it'll be interesting. It's like you don't really need scouting reports here. You just have to execute.
Not at all. In terms of roster decisions, so for those who don't know, in September, teams have carried 28 guys on the roster. For the playoffs, you go back to 26. So will that mean will they take 2 pitchers off the roster? I think the Guardians might do that.
Yeah, you don't need 12 for a 3-game series is plenty.
Yeah. Right. So who you taking? Well, no. Well, 2 pitchers out would knock you down to 11, right? Or don't they have 13 and 13?
No, because roster's expanded, so you're at 14 and 14.
14 and 14, right. My bad. Okay, so knock it down to 12. So is Logan Allen out? Is Parker Messick out?
So Logan Allen starting yesterday.
Yeah, he's out for the series.
Probably takes him out, and then Zach Kent would be the other option.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I will tell you, like there's a taxi squad that's been staying ready in Columbus because their season ended, a week or so ago.
Right. Who's there?
They're going through they're going through some potential just thoughts on what matchups they might like, and all I will say is Chase DeLauder's on the taxi squad. And I don't think it would be
interesting,
the craziest thing in the world if he was an option at some point in the playoffs. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Don't go running with this if you're going to aggregate. I'm just saying that there is a taxi squad staying ready in Columbus, and they are considering people from the taxi squad for the roster based on matchups and other things. And we'll see.
How many guys are on that? Do you know?
I don't know. Definitely there's some pitchers, but like they have enough. Like I think the pitching is
right. So who else? Who are the other hitters that you think are on there? Besides DeLauder,
definitely a catcher.
Yeah,
trying to think. Will Wilson.
Yeah, well, we don't want him up.
No, the reason why I've only mentioned DeLauder is he's the only
nobody else that would be injured. Okay, that's fascinating. Can you imagine if he makes his major league debut in the playoffs?
Yeah, and like I don't think the tricky part here is how would he fit? Like, because you've got Valera,
Right.
They've been using Noel and now Jonathan Rodriguez against lefties. So I don't know that that's actually going to happen. I just know it's something that's been under consideration, and we'll see.
Especially if somebody got hurt or whatever, maybe that would be something.
Yeah, they do this every year. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
always have, Slade Ciccone was on it for the Diamondbacks 2 years ago,
right.
and wound up pitching twice in the NLCS.
Yeah, forgot about that. All right, let's see what the fans have to say. Then we'll make our predictions and we'll wrap it up. All right, let's see what we got here. Goldie Boy said a super chat, which is not even about the Guardians, but he paid for it, so I'm going to read it. Joe Flacco out there looking like Brucey from The Longest Yard. Shaking my head. Ain't that the truth?
Can you give us a little tease? What's you calling for a quarterback change?
I mean, they're not going to change the quarterback. I think Joe's going to play 2 more games if he stays healthy, because they don't want, if you don't do it this week, you're not going to do it next week at Pittsburgh. And then they play the Dolphins and the Jets and the Patriots. That's the time to do it if they're not going to do it now. I would do it now. I mean, Joe's the worst quarterback in football right now. I mean, it's just horrible. Eddie says, good morning. Do you think ownership will see the Mets missing the playoffs and use that as another excuse to not spend? Hopefully they build on with some quality free agents plus our rookies.
I will say, I think if the Guardians spent $250 million more this winter, I like their chances next season.
I would say so. Marty says, best show, period. Zach and Bull, thank you for doing this show. Thank you, Marty. We appreciate it. Logan says, good morning, y'all. Kyle says, thank you guys for covering the Guardians for us. I feel like I can't turn on Cleveland sports talk without 98% of it being spent on the damn Browns. I'm so tired of it. Let's effing go, Guards. Well, we're going to be here. Like I said, we'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here Wednesday. I'll be doing live post-game podcasts both those days also on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today. Obviously, we are going to talk about the Browns, but we are doing plenty of Guardians coverage on the big show today as well. So
it's also Cavs Media Day. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Every year they do it on a Monday. It's so stupid.
This is like, I feel like every year,
yeah,
you got to like apply for a credential or just let them know you're coming. And every year I do, and every year
you can't.
This year I thought, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah. No.
Whoops.
Nope. Let's see. Sven Reek says the 2025 Guardians are giving me more hope than the 2024 Guardians, even though it's one of the worst constructed teams in a while. I understand that.
Yeah, the thing is, last year you just felt with that bullpen that any close game they were going to win.
Right.
That's kind of how I felt in 2016 too.
Yeah.
The bullpen's still good. It's not what it's been, and so their margin for error is just so tiny.
Yeah, I mean, last year obviously the bullpen ran out of gas by the Yankee series, or really even in the Tiger series they were already a problem.
And you have an extra series to win this year.
Yeah,
they had a first round bye last year, so it's going to be tough. We'll see what happens.
Let's see. Ryan says, who has the advantage in facing the other for a third time in a row so recently, the Tigers or the Guardians?
Nobody. But I mean, the advantage to me, I think, goes to Tarek Skubal. I just don't know how. Like, I know the Guardians haven't like beaten him, but they've had a decent track record.
Yeah.
Right? Like they've won both games he's pitched against them this month. He absolutely destroyed them back in May.
Right.
But then they beat him in the playoffs last year too. So it's like they've held their own. You just have to keep it close, I think, and then hope to
Gavin Williams got to match him, and he's capable of it.
But I just, it's hard. Like the fact that they've won 2 straight games that he started against them. Can you go 3 for 3?
I get it, but I still think the Guardians have a confidence level against the Tigers right now. It's got to be a big advantage. They beat them in the playoffs last year. They've dominated them down the stretch, especially, and they're at home. I think it's an advantage for them, but the advantage is the next day starting pitcher, as you say. So Eric Skubal pitches at his best, they're probably going to win the game, no matter how good Gavin Williams is. But he hasn't quite been at his best for the most part in the last couple of years against the Guardians. so we'll see. Let's see. Andrew says he's looking forward to the 1:00 games. Well, then he says, haha. Fatal Cheeseburger says -6 run differential and still winning the division has to be a first. Is that a first? I don't know if it's a first.
We've had some people researching this. I don't know that I've seen the answer yet. The next worst run differential by a division winner, I believe, was the Mariners at +72. So
that was the worst.
Pretty big difference.
Oh,
yeah.
you mean this year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But the Rockies were -400 something. So,
well, how many losses did they finish with? I didn't even look at it at the end. They won off the record. Last year, the White Sox finished 42 and 120.
Oh, it's 120. Okay.
And the Rockies finished 43 and 119.
So the 1999 Cleveland Indians scored 1,009 runs. They're the only team since 1950 to score 1,000 runs.
Man,
that team was an absolute wagon.
Yeah.
Right. The Rockies this season, in like the era of the pitcher, allowed 1,021 runs.
Wow,
it's insane.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, the second worst was the Angels, I believe. Oh, no. Nationals give 899 runs, which is hideous. But that's 122 less.
Essentially 1 run a game less than the Rockies. Yeah.
That is amazing. All right. Ryan says, what rookie stays on the roster? Valera, Halpin, Rodriguez, Kefas. I think they're all going to be on the roster, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, certainly Valera and Kefas.
I think they like Halpin. Speed and defense could really help in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The one guy like Rodriguez before the Fry thing, obviously I don't think Rodriguez would have been part of this.
Right.
And then even, it's not like he's hit until this weekend, right? And now I think with some confidence, needing another right-handed bat, I think they probably go with him.
Kyle says, no matter how far we go, how freaking awesome is this for the boys like Kefas and Valera and Rodriguez to get some high-tension postseason baseball under their belt early. Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, you can be a rookie and come up in September for a team that's 20 games out, and you have some individual success, but the team stinks. It's not contributing to anything. These guys are, think about Cantillo. Like, he just had the month of his career.
Yeah.
And it led to wins that got you to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's so powerful.
Yeah. Jay says, if Clase and Ortiz are banned for life, do the Guardians get any kind of salary relief? Yeah, their salaries go away, but neither one's making a lot of money. Clase was making, what, $5 million?
Yeah, I mean, he had
pre-arbitration, so he's not making anything.
Yeah, it won't make much of a difference. They get out of Clase had a couple $10 million options down the line, but
that's the contract he didn't want to get out of.
Yeah.
Jason says this will be the third time in 3 weeks that many of the hitters on both sides have seen these pitchers. Does that give some advantage to the hitters? Overall, is this better for the Guards or Tigers? So, answered this already, but
yeah, I mean, it definitely the hitters have the advantage, right? Because you're just as a pitcher, there's no surprises. Like, they know everything you've got. They know your tendencies where you're trying to attack them, but they're going to still try to attack your weaknesses. So you can know what they're doing, but if you're not equipped to counteract that, it's not going to matter.
Cleveland Takeover says, on UCSS, late August, early September, I remember you saying we needed to win 19 of the last 24, and I scoffed and laughed because I was so mad at this team. They went out and won 19 of the last 24.
I think we said 88, didn't we? At some point, we were like trying to come up with the magic number, and
I think you're right. We said they had to win 88. And so, technically they only had to win 87 to make it, but yeah. Another super chat here from the Hot Saucers. The walk-off hit by pitch was the coolest thing ever to see live. The energy in the stadium was great.
It's bizarre.
I don't know. Yeah.
Everybody was predicting it too, or at least claiming to after the fact.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's see. Jason says, do we expect that shadows at Progressive Field to be a factor for relying on hitting against Detroit's bullpen? Will that be right around the time the shadows roll in?
That gets tough too, like late afternoon. Remember the wild card game against Tampa a few years ago that went 15 innings and it was 0-0?
Oh, yeah.
And that was
that
had a big impact that day. It was tough to hit, tough to see.
You know what's funny? That game, what was that a weekday? Was that a weekend game for some reason, or am I crazy?
No, I think it was the same. I think it was an early start on a weekday.
Okay, I don't know why. I feel like that. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, last question from Chris. What did you enjoy more, the 2017 win streak or this September run? That win streak was bonkers.
The win streak, because it had never happened. There was nothing like that.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to win the World Series that year.
Yes, that
Yeah.
team was really, really good.
Yeah.
I have said this is more shocking to me. This is more. I don't want to say more impressive, but the in 17 that team was loaded.
Yes.
Go look at that roster. You're going to see names that you're like, man, Yandy Diaz was like playing part-time and now he's a stud. Like, the pitching was just nuts. So them winning 22 games in a row, like obviously that's really hard to do. But if some team was going to do it, makes sense that it was them, right? The thing that stunk too was they just downplayed the whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
as it's going on, they win like 18 in a row, and they're like, "Well, we're just focused on the day at hand."
Yeah.
This was just so unexpected because you look at the roster and it's you didn't think it was they were capable of it. But that almost made it more fun. And the fact that they had to chase down the Tigers and they got the chance to play them to do that was pretty cool. But that win, you're right. They finished that win streak in 17 and they stayed hot until they got knocked out.
Damn it. All right. Let's wrap it up with predictions, and let's do all the first round series, and we'll end with the Guardians and Tigers, Zach. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and myself as well. Nobody thought the Dodgers would be playing in the wild card weekend, but they are as the 3 seed in the National League. They'll host the 6-seeded Reds with Terry Francona. Who you got in that series and how many games?
Dodgers in 2. Hunter Green's going to be fun to watch.
Reds got a good rotation.
They do. The Reds can't hit, and the Dodgers roster's too good. Although these, I will say, a wild card series is a coin flip. It almost doesn't even matter what the two teams are.
Yeah.
The Dodgers have Ohtani lined up for Game 3 if they need it, which is just a wild thing to say. I'll go Dodgers in 2.
I'm going Dodgers in 2 as well. All right, Red Sox, Yankees. I want the Red Sox to win, but I think the Yankees will win. Obviously, they're hotter. They're at home. These two teams, you never know when these two teams play. I'll say the Yankees in 3.
Yeah, I think these teams are actually pretty evenly matched. I'd feel better about the Red Sox if they had Roman Anthony, their star rookie, but they don't. So I will also take Yankees in 3.
All right, series number 3. I got a personal attention on this one, as you know. Padres and Cubs at Wrigley Field. What do you got?
What do we know pitching wise?
Well, Cade Horton,
right,
who's been great, is going to win the National League Rookie of the Year, is out. So I know Nick Pavetta's pitching Game 1. I'm trying to think when. I mean, it would be Boyd or Imanaga, but I'm actually not sure. I can't remember now when they both last pitched. So let me just look at it here for a second. So
I think it's definitely going 3.
Yeah, Boyd pitched on Wednesday, so I think it'll be Boyd in Game 1 and Imanaga in Game 2.
I'm gonna go Padres in 3.
I'm going Padres in 2.
Oh,
I don't think the Cubs are going to win the series. I want them to, obviously, but I don't think they will. I don't like how they're playing down the stretch. And their strength, you thought would be their hitting, which it was in the first half, and it was terrible in the second half. Now, they got a little hot right at the end, so maybe that'll carry them. We'll see. But as they got hot at the end, Boyd wasn't quite as good in September. Imanaga just got boat raced his last start, and Cade Horton has been their best pitcher second half, is out. He's not going to play in the series, so I don't like where they're at right now. Finally, we have the Tigers and the Guardians in Cleveland. I'm picking the Guardians to win. I'm going back and forth on whether I think it's going to be 2 or 3 games. Nothing comes easy for the Guardians. I'm saying Guardians in 3.
Yeah. So I was thinking about
Yeah.
recent history and the Guardians playing at home in the playoffs and especially first games. I was thinking about 16. We didn't know going into that postseason that the team was going to do anything. Remember, they lost Carrasco, they lost Salazar, they
Yep.
didn't have Brantley. Paul Hoynes wrote a column saying the season's dead on September
Oh, yeah.
17th.
They let him have it.
And then they played that first game against the Red Sox at home. Andrew Miller came in the 5th inning, and the formula worked. The atmosphere was incredible, and they won the series. And they come home, and it's the ALCS. And at that point, it's like you're playing with house money. And the pitching, Kluber started, they win 2-0, and it was just like, man, the World Series is at home. Game 1.
Yeah.
I think Roberto Perez hit 2 home runs, and they win game 1.
Yeah.
And it just, I feel like, they host the Yankees the next year. Game 1, another well-pitched game. They win. I know that this narrative I'm building here doesn't hold firm for all of history. 2018, they got swept by the Astros. 2020, the COVID year, they lost at home.
Yeah.
But even 2022, like, the Rays, they were here, well-pitched game, Ramirez home run, they win. I feel like game 1s at home, they've done really well in. Last year, 5 in the first inning against the Tigers.
Yep.
So they seem to just capitalize on that. So with that said, I think the Tigers win tomorrow.
Ah.
And then I think the Guardians come back and win games 2 and 3.
Yeah, I very well could see that happening. Yeah.
I just, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, how often have they lost the first game of a home playoff series? Very rarely in this new era since Terry Francona took over. So I almost hesitate to pick against them tomorrow, but I think they'll win the series. I'm with you. Like, give me the most dramatic.
Yeah.
It's just fitting for whatever. If there's a book to be written about this season, it's gonna have countless chapters because they just keep rewriting all this drama. And
they win it in 3 with a walk-off catcher's interference.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing crazier than a walk-off hit by pitch, right?
Yeah. All right, folks. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Huge numbers again today, so we appreciate it. Just a reminder, all 3 games, if there are 3, are at 108. Well, I shouldn't say that. Again, games 1 and 2 are at 108. Game 3 will be at 108 if all 4 series go 3 games. If not, the time will change. I will be on immediately following all of the games in the postseason on my Bet Rivers podcast immediately within a couple of minutes, right there. And then we'll all take a break for a little bit. We'll calm down a little bit. Zach will be in the locker room. He'll interview the players and the coaches and write his article for The Athletic. And then he will join me, and we will have an Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show for you. We'll tentatively plan it for 7 p.m. the next 2 days, but be on the lookout. You'll certainly get alerts letting you know an exact time when we lock it down, but it should be 7. Zach, it's going to be fun. Hopefully the Guardians can make a big run here, and it'll all start tomorrow at 108, and I'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon.
There's nothing like playoff baseball, Bull.
It's the best. We'll see everybody on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show.